Welcome to Market Matters. I'm Khoo Chuang, joined by Lynn, Tang, and we have two stocks on the watch with stocks with momentum. And the first is Instacom Group Berhad. They are pegged as positive momentum by the BHIC research. They closed up 9.7% on the day, which sounds like quite a lot, but when you consider the fact that they're actually a penny stock, they were up just by 2 cents to 17 cents. Now, this is a software maker essentially for the telco industry, and they've been making their own incomes and earnings on the back of that industry. They have announced, I think, an acquisition of more shares.
Aluminium fabrication and design.
Aluminium fabrication company, that's right.
That's right, Chuang. So in August 6th, they actually announced to buy an additional 43% in this aluminium company called Nyata Aluminium Malaysia Sdn Bhd. They currently already own 35%. So with this 43% additional stake, they would own 78% in Nyata. So I had a quick look at Nyata. It's actually doing quite well. Revenue has been increasing. Order book about 247 million ringgit. It can last till 2018. But what is exciting is that this acquisition actually comes with a profit guarantee of 34 million ringgit for 2 years.
Over 2 years.
2 years. And it's actually quite sizable because if you divide it to 17 billion ringgit per year, this compares with Instacom's net profit of only 3.7 billion ringgit in FY 2014.
Yeah,
it's
so
5 times jump.
Correct. So what seemed a bit anomalous at the initial point with a software maker going to aluminium design and fabrication, this, I guess, puts them into the hardware side of the business and horizontally across, because I think what happens with Nyata is they've got a lot of non-telco type businesses. I think they built stuff for Nadayu, they've built stuff like the Uton residences and the ampersand condos. So it seems like a bit of a hedge betting maneuver for...
Well, if you want to get into, say, software to hardware, the best way, of course, if you question about expertise, the best way, of course, is acquiring a company which already has an established presence. So I'm guessing this is what Instacom is doing. The easy way out, you just buy, and then you're already into the construction and property sector, per se.
That's right. Okay, let's have another look at another stock with momentum. Now, Boustead Heavy Industries Corp is part of the whole LTAT group. They're pegged as negative momentum this time around. They closed at 217, down 0.9%. This is a stock which actually has gone up quite a lot in the last 1 year. They traded as low as $1.60 and as high as 260, and now they're at 217. But they've risen nearly 30% in 1 month. So this could be some fatigue setting into the stock.
That's right. In the past 1 month, I guess, because they've risen up close to 30%. Quick look on Boustead, they have actually got a slew of contracts. For example, September 21st, they got a 4.8 million contract to design and construct some infrastructures of the Royal Malaysian Navy, Kota Kinabalu. And September 17, its associate got a 92.4 million ringgit contract. So all this is just in the past 1 month, probably leading up to the share price increase.
You can say they've been sailing forth into the open ocean to make some money. It's a very tightly held stock, 65% owned by Boustead Holdings. Then, of course, Tabung Haji owns about 7.6%. So actually, the open and public free float is actually very small, which is why it's a bit of a sleepy stock to all intents and purposes.
Right. So I don't know. If you look at Boustead Heavy Industries, it builds and repairs ships. It does maintenance, repair of weapons. I guess you're right in showing that something that you wouldn't buy.
It's not something you trade and it gets your blood boiling. And it might be a Warren Buffett kind of stock in terms of being safe and defensible. But okay, just as an aside itself, they also manufacture aluminium fast passenger sea ferries. They construct power plant. They do some property development. So. I guess this is one of those stocks, if you had caught into those coattails at the start of the month, you would have made a bit of money, and then it's time to take some money off the table, which is why it's pegged as negative momentum by the BHIC research.
That's right, Chuang.
Okay, so to recap our two stocks with the momentum, firstly with Instacom. Now they're consolidating their ownership in Nyata, the aluminium design and fabrication company. The second reason for that they're buying the stock is that it's offered a profit guarantee of 34 million over the next 2 years, which is essentially 17 million ringgit a year. And then moving on to Boustead Heavy Industries, the key takeaway for us is, of course, the fact that they are profit-taking shareholders on the stock after having gained by 30% in the last 1 month.